Freighter, sorry, double freighter.
Double Freda.
Main.
Okay, we're up to the Mishnah on Lamed Dalid Amid Beis. We've been discussing again the making an Eruv Tchumim, and big side was you have to have Eruv. You and the Eruv have to be in the same spot. You have to be in the same spot. Now, what happens if you're in the same spot but you can't access it for whatever reason? That's what this Mishnah is going to discuss. I'm in the same spot. I'm in but I can't access it. What's the din over there? So it says the Mishnah, Nasna b'migdal, you put it in a locker, some type of box, a migdal. And you lose the mafteach, you lost the key. So if you don't have a key, obviously you can't access it. Harizeh Erev, says the Tanakam, it's still an Erev. The Gemara is going to ask, how can you say it's an Erev? If it's inaccessible, it shouldn't be a good Erev. If you don't know that mafteach is hanging on the hook where you usually keep it, that it's not an Erev. So we'll have to qualify this. The Gemara will qualify this. Again, it says, Tanakama says that even if you lose the key, it's still a good Erev. Rabbi Eliezer says, no, if you can't find the key, even if you don't know where the key is, it's not a good Erev. Says the Gemara, Ve'amai, why is it a good Erev if it's locked and you don't have the key? Hu b'makom echad, he is in one place, ve'eruvoy b'makom acher, and his Erev is in another place. It should be no different than having it at the top of the tree in Rosh Hashanah Yachid, and you're standing in Rosh Hashanah, you're kind of shvisa. Once you're not accessible, so again, the Yisod is, it's not a good Erev Tchumim. That was one of the Yisodas we spoke out in Erev Tchumim, that you have to have Eruvin b'hu b'makom echad. This is a different type. There was different Rishuyos. Here it's inaccessible because you can't get to it. Says the Gemara, Rav and Shmuel, both Rav and Shmuel, Damit Shabayu, they're both of the opinion. Hacha b'migdal shel uleveinu maskina. We're dealing with a brick. We're dealing with one of bricks. Reb Mehi, the Amar poiches lechatchila. You can open it up lechatchila v'naitel and take from it. Ditnan. This is a din yontif, guys. This is a din by yontif. Bayish shemileu peris, a house that's full of peris. Sasum, and it's closed, it's sealed off. V'nivchas, and then it opens up. Noitel mimakam apchas, from the place where it's open, you're able to go ahead and take the fruit. We don't say they're muktzah. We don't say since they were inaccessible, ben hashmashas, they're muktzah, but you can take it. Reb Meir Omer, poikes v'naitel lechatchila. You don't have to, if it opens up, lechatchila, you're able to open it up. So just like by Yontif, you're able to open up the house to get the fruit. You're able to open up the migdal to break, and it's made out of bricks, right? You're able to break open the migdal to get the Erev. That since I can do that, it's considered accessible, and therefore the Eruv b'makom echad. Fred the Gemara of Rav Nachman Adam Shmuel be'aviru delivni. We're speaking about a case where there are spaces between the bricks. Pirish, there is no cement. There is no cement. In other words, since there's no cement, it's just an union of removing the bricks. Over here, Rameh wouldn't allow you to go ahead, take cement and bash it on Shabbos to break it. Says, what are we speaking about on Mishnah? We're speaking about a migdal that the bricks are uncemented. Since they're uncemented, it's considered that the Erev is accessible, and therefore, Huve Eruvay b'makom echad. Fred the Gemara of Amar of Zera b'Yontif Amru. That was Dafka din by Yontif, and here we're speaking about l'chayra an Erev Tchumim of Shabbos. Avaloi b'Shabbos. Shabbos, you would not be able to take down the bricks. Our Mishnah is not discussing the Erev Tchumim vis-a-vis Shabbos. We know there's a din of Tchumim by Yontif is also. So our Mishnah is discussing if you make an Erev Tchumim on Yontif and it happens to be that there's no cement between the bricks, it's considered accessible and it's considered Huvei Ruvoy b'makom echad. It's considered that you're in the same spot.
No soisef. If there's no cement, it's not considered soisef?
Right. Says the Gemara, Hachi, Hainu Diktani Allah, Rabbi Eliezer Omer. On this we learned. In Be'er Avad, if he lost it in the city, if he lost the key in the city, then Eruvay Erev, then it's a good Erev. Then Besada Avad, however, if he lost it in the field, Ein Eruvay Erev, then it's not a good Erev. Now, What's the difference in the city, right? If he loses it, because if he can find it, he can bring it through the, over the mountaintops. Remember we said over the Shimon Shita, right? Over the Karfif to the Chutzner, right? We know that picture, right? We're going from one place to the other place. He's able to bring it. Since he's able to bring it over there like that, so therefore it's a good Erev. Besada that he can't bring it, fellas, then not. That's what Rebbe Eliezer said. Now let's apply it. Bishleim, if you're telling me Le'inyan Shabbos, it's speaking about it, Tchum Shabbos, I can make a distinction between a key in the city and a key in the Sadeh. Because on Shabbos, I can't carry it from the field. But if you're telling me it's speaking about Erev Tchum Yantif, what was the difference be if I lose it in the city or if I lose the key in the field? On Yantif, I'm able to carry also. I'm able to carry on Yantif. So there shouldn't be a difference between the field and the Sadeh. So this L'chaira uproots your din that what? It's speaking about Erev on Yantif. Back to the original question. So if it's speaking about Erev and Shabbos, you're not able to go ahead and take it down Yankel, take down the bricks on Shabbos. You won't be able to do it. You won't be able to do it. Says the Gemara.
I'm missing one point here. Isn't it one of the criteria says where was the Erev and on during Ben Hashmashos? If it was a good Erev Ben Hashmashos, what's the difference if I have the key or not?
Do I have to have the key Ben Hashmashos because I have to have accessibility to it?
Right. So did I have the key Ben Hashmashos? That's the question.
Hesh was saying even if you don't have the key Ben Hashmashos, it's a good Erev.
Okay, so then
even if you don't have the key Ben Hashmashos, it's a good Erev. Why? Because it's accessible and you can take it apart. That's the point. That's the point. That's a huge chiddush, but that's the point. In other words, again, the whole rule of thumb by this is you never have to eat the Erev. You just have to hypothetically be able to get to it. You don't. We said, and we'll see, even if the Erev is there, Ben Hashmashos is gone a minute after Ben Hashmashos, it's a good Erev. You were kind of shvisa. So again, the question is, if you can't get to it, that's not accessible. You're in two different spots. You're where you are, and the Erev is locked in a safe. And we're answering, no, it's accessible. It's accessible. It doesn't work. It only works by Yantif, not by Shabbos. So we're trying to figure this out. But again, you have the mechanics of the Gemara you have. We have a technical difficulty. If you're telling me it's speaking about Yantif, it can't be. Because when Rabbi Eliezer relates to this, he's saying it's not speaking about Yantif. It's speaking about fields and cities, and the distinctions of fields and cities is a Shabbos-tic distinction. It's not a Yantif-tic distinction, because on Yantif you can carry in the field. So therefore, says the Gemara, right? The imbesada avad ein v'urer v'yantif mali sada. So says the Gemara, chsuri mechsur v'hachitani. The Mishnah is missing words, and here's the way you have to learn. Nasnu ben migdal, if you put your erev in a tower, v'noal b'fanav, and you close it down, v'Avudarham avteach, and you lose the key, harizeh erev, it's a good erev. B'med devar mamurim, that it's a good erev, b'yantif. On Yontif, why? Because I could break it. On Yontif, where I could break it, it's a good Erev. Avol b'Shabbos ain't Eruva Erev. On Shabbos, the taka wouldn't be a good Erev because I can't break it. Nimsa mafteach, if you find the key, bein be'ir, bein b'sadeh, whether it's in the city or whether it's in the sadeh, ain't Eruva Erev. It's not a good Erev. Obviously, in the city, it's not a good Erev because he doesn't hold like Rav Shimon, guys. He doesn't hold, you can get it over the karfif, the chutzim, and the gagos. Remember, that Reb Shimon's din, that picture, the gagos, the karfif, you can't get it there. He says there's no difference between the city and the fields. No difference. Why? Because in the city, I also can't get the key there, because I can't go through the top of the chutzim and the karfif and the gag. Reb Eliezer Omer, be'ir eruv erev. In the city, it is a good erev. In the city, it is a good Erev because I can get it there like Rav Shimon. V'sada ein Eruvay Erev. Be'ir Eruvay Erev k'Rav Shimon. The Amar echad gagois, echad chatzeros, echad kafichos, rishus achasein lekelim sheshifta b'seicha. That right? Okay. So this is one teretz. One teretz is speaking where it's speaking besada, it's speaking be'ir, and you hold like Rav Shimon. And since I can get the key there, it's okay. It's speaking be'ir, since I can get the key there through the karfif, through the all the way on the top, it's a good Erev. Another possible teretz to the kasha, again, what's a kasha? How could you tell me it's a good Erev? It's in two different places. It's locked in a box, and he doesn't have accessibility to it. Another teretz is Rabba Rabbi Yosef, Namar Travayu, Hacha b'migdal shel eitz askinan. We're speaking about a wooden box. We're not speaking about a brick box. We're speaking about one that's made out of wood. The masav a klihu, one man the Omar holds it's a kli. The ain binyan v'kelim bein steer v'kelim. Therefore, I can break it. Again, if you hold, there's no building in kelim and there's no steer v'kelim. Once it has a shem kli, I'm able to break it. Therefore, it's a good erev. Umasaver and the other man holds oil hu. It's an oil, and you can't break an oil. So that would be a good way to explain the machlokes between the Tanakama and Rabbi Eliezer. Tanakama whole says that it's a kli. The kli is made. It's a kli. It's speaking about Shabbos, not Yontif. Why is it a good erev? Because I can break the box, weighing steer b'kelim. Whereas since it's a large box, Rabbi Eliezer says it has a shem oil, and you can't break an oil. And the mela, if I can't break the oil, I don't have accessibility to it, and therefore it's not a good erev. That would be a hezbollah of machlokes in our Mishnah between Tanakama and Rabbi Eliezer. The Gemara now is going to question that second fact that you're saying an oil you can't break. It says the Gemara, "Uplukta dahani tanoi." The machlokes between our Tanakama, who says it's a kli, and Rabbi Eliezer who would say it's an oil, would be totally in the same machlokes that we see in a Mishnah in Zavim. Did not. Now, just outside Yediyah, we know that a Zav is unique, right? The Zav, we said that he has those severe tumah that emanates from the body. Zav, we hack this, right? Mechus Kippurim. A Zav is metama tumas midris, if it's something that you normally go ahead and step on. We said earlier in the Masechta, we had a shoe, you step on the shoe, you break one side, you break the other side. I'm chazing for my chavrusa. You break one side, you break the other side, right? It's Kalim Chadash's Bolakan. Okay. You sit down on a chair, Tommy. You sit down on a kli, you say, get up, Ovim Menachsel Machtenu. It's not a normal thing you sit on. That's a midras. It retains the shame of his Navatuma. There's a tumah of a Zav called Tumas Hesed, guys. Tumas Hesed is a really, really severe form of tumah. Tumas Hesed is a very severe tumah. If the Zav just moves it, it's tumah. If he causes it to move. So with the case we're speaking over here is the Zav takes a stick and he hits a kli. It's not speaking where he hits it with his hand, because then you'd have a tumah of maga Zav. So here where he hits it with a stick, the whole shaila is he didn't touch it, but he caused it to move. It's called Tumas Hesed. Says the Gemara. That's what we're speaking about now. With that background, let's begin. Tanan. Hikish agabe shida tevu migdal. You take a stick, the Zav takes a stick, he hits one of these kalim, then they're tmeyan. If they move, they're tamei. Reb Nechemia, Reb Shimon Mitarin, they say they're tahar. My lab b'hakimifli, masava klihu. The one who says it's tamei holds it's a kli, and the kli can be mekabel tuma. Umasava oilhu, and the other one, Reb Nechemia holds it's an oil, and the oil can't be mekabel tuma. So this machlokes over here we have by Zavin, where we hold that a kli, that something can be a kli or an oil. Apparently, it will be the same din in our Mishnah. The migdal is a large receptacle. It's got an erev inside of it. Whether you can break it or not is dependent upon how you view it. If you view it as a kli, as the Tanakama does, it's breakable and accessible. If you view it as an oil, then it's unbreakable, unaccessible, and that's Rebbe Eliezer. And that's the same machlokes we have by Zav. How do we view a shida teva migdal? Again, migdal, the word migdal, when hit by a Zav. Do we view it like a kli and it's makabel tama, like the Tanakama, or do we view it like Rebbe Eliezer, we view like Rebbe Eliezer, that it is a oil, and therefore it's not makabel tama. Guys, we're good so far? Okay, in other words, we're answering the machlokes in the Mishnah. The first teretz in the Mishnah was, it's speaking where it was made of bricks, and it's speaking where it was in the city, and the machlokes is the holak of Shimon, whether it's accessible or not. If you hold like Rav Shimon, it's accessible. If you hold Rav Shimon, it's not accessible. That's machlokes Rebbe Eliezer and the Tanakama. According now, a second teretz, we're saying it's speaking whether it has a shem kli or not, or a shem oil or not. If it has a shem kli, then it's going to go ahead, ain't steer b'kelim, and it's accessible. If it's an oil, then it's unaccessible, and it's not not an Eruv. Okay. Now that you understand it, let's slug it up, okay? That's always the Gemara. Once you finally get it, then the Gemara says, let's go in another direction. Says the Gemara. Amar Abaya, v'tizbara, you mean to tell me you think this is the machlokes, whether it's a kli or an oil? V'hatanya, oil v'nisat, if you have a tent and he moves the tent, tameh. So you see that your premise that a tent can't be makabel toma is wrong. Next, kli ve'ena nisit, if the kli is you hits it and it doesn't move, then it's tahar. V'katani sefer, this is what we need. V'katani sefer, v'mhoyu nisutin, right? Tameyin. In the first case, if you hit the shida tevel migdol and they move, it's tameh. Even if you hold it's an oil, it's tameh. Ze'aklal, nisat machmas koichai, if the kli moves as a result of the strength of the zav, a direct blow by the zav causes it to move, then tameh. Machmas ra'ada, if the zav goes ahead and hits the ground, and the shaking of the ground, the quaking of the ground causes the kli to move, then tahar. That's not called hesed. Ela Amar Abaya, the kuliyalma hesed machmas koichai tameh. If you go ahead and you hit it and it moves, everyone else is tameh. Machmas ra'ada, if you hit the ground and it moves, everyone says it's tahar. The hacha, what's the machlokes over here? The ra'ada machmas koichai askinon. You hit it directly, guys. It doesn't move, it stays in place, but it quakes, it trembles. A tuning fork. Picture a tuning fork, you're holding a tuning fork, it doesn't move, but you cause it to zzz. So now, this is going back and forth. That's the machlokes over here between the Tanakama and Reb Nechemia. The Masava have hesed, Tanakama holds that's hesed, Umasava loy have hesed. And the Reb Nechemia holds it's not hesed, and therefore it's tahar. So this has nothing to do with our Mishnah. Again, what the Gemara just did was tangentially went off into the sunset. We went ahead, what did we say? We wanted a taina that the machlokes in our Mishnah, whether it's a kli or an oil, is the machlokes in the same machlokes in the Mishnah in Zavim. We're ascertaining that the Mishnah in Zavim has nothing to do with kli or oil. It has everything to do whether hitting it directly and causing it to tremble, whether that is considered hesed or not. Totally not. So therefore, it's not applicable whatsoever to our Mishnah. So therefore, with this rejection of Rabbah and Rabbi Yosef, right? Okay. So now, our Mishnah, how would they learn Pshat in our Mishnah? How would they learn what Pshat in our Mishnah? Again, the Mishnah in Zavim that it's not dependent on oil, because they hold oil is tameh. So therefore, now how would they learn Pshat? It's closed and it's locked with a rope. The only way to open it is to cut the rope. So question, what's the machlokes there? What's wrong with cutting a rope? Good. We had a machlokes in Masechta Shabbos, whether you're able to take a knife for something that it's not its purpose. That's the machlokes. Uboy sakina lemifsaka. You need a sakin to cut it. Now, sakin is used to eat. It's not used to cut rope on Shabbos. It's used to eat. Tanakama Savar, the Tanakama who says that it's accessible, Savar like Rabbi Yossi. He holds like Rabbi Yossi. The Amar Kola Kalim Nitolim b'Shabbos. Every kli is able to be taken b'Shabbos. Chutz misamer gadol v'yesa shel machreisha, except for the lumberjack saw and or the coulter of a plow. You might remember from Masechta Shabbos that Nechemia ben Chachalya, he asked all muktzah. He came up to Eretz Yisrael, he found people carrying, he asked everything. And as people began being more observant, he went ahead and he brought back more halachas and more halachas. So what did he bring back? Everything except a kli it's malachle le'issa, such as a saw, which is expensive, and a coulter. Good? A knife, therefore, could be taken even for its non-purpose. Just like you could take a hammer to break a walnut, you could take a knife to cut a rope. Right? The same thing. You could take a knife to cut a rope. Now, Rabbi Eliezer Sav Allah Reb Nechemia. Dama afilu talis afilu tarvad eini tolen el tzaref tashmishon. He says that he'll like Rabbi Eliezer like Nechemia. Rabbi Nechemia was the most severe din in muktzah. He said you couldn't take anything, nothing, zero. So now we have two pshatim in our Mishnah. Let's go back to our Mishnah. Nasla b'migdol, you put it in a migdol that's made of brick, and it's got what? And it's got a lock. The oven, a mafteach, harizeh erev. If you find it, since it's in the city, you find it since he also you could break it down. It's permitted. It's not an erev. So we had machlokes whether it's speaking by Yontif or Shabbos. If it's speaking about Shabbos, it's totally in where you find it. Like the Tanakama, if I find it in the city, I can bring it. Therefore, it's a good erev. Like Rabbi Eliezer, since I can't even bring it in the city, it's not a good erev. That was the first way to learn Pshat. The second way, we wanted to go ahead and speaking about a kliyates. We rejected that. Well, it could be speaking about a kliyates, and whether it's speaking about oil or speaking about wood. Like if you hold it's a kli, then you could break it. And Rabbi Eliezer would hold it's an oil, and it has nothing to do with the Mishnah and Zavim. And now we have a third Pshat. It's speaking about it's a box that's closed with a rope. To open this rope, you need a knife. Are you allowed to take a knife to go ahead and cut it? Says the Tanakhama, you could. I hold like Rabbi Yossi, that if you need it, you could do it. And the Rabbi Yossi says, no, you can't take it. You can only take a knife for the knife's purpose, which is eating. You can't take it for cutting. Therefore, like the Tanakhama, it's accessible. Like Rabbi Eliezer, it's not accessible. And that would be the machlokes in the Mishnah. Says the Mishnah, now, in order for it to be kind of shvisa, you need ben hashmasos, you need that food is there. And this Mishnah is going to tell us some basic yisodos. Let's say niskalgol chutzat chum. You took a 2,000 amis from the walls of the city, exactly 2,000, and now it rolled a little more than 4 amis away. If it's 4 amis, you're good. You still get a 4 amis, and it rolled a little more than that. Or v'nafel or gag, this is all before ben hashmashos. V'nafel or gag, or a wall fell on it, and now it's there, but it's inaccessible because it's under a pile of stones. So much so that it would be a deraisa, you'd have to get a drill to get it. If it was just the rabbanon, l'chayr like Rebbe, it'll be permitted because it's a shvus ben hashmashos. You can go ahead, stones on muktzah. That's the rabbanon. You will be able to get it. So we're going to see it speaking in a scenario where you need tools to actually dig it out, which is an issa deraisa. Or nisraf, right? Or it burns. Truma, if it was truma v'nit mas, all these cases, fellas. Some it's there, but it's inaccessible. It's beyond the reach. Some it's there, but it's covered. Some it's halachically not permitted because of tuma, and some it's not there at all because it burnt. Now, if it's happened on Friday, you didn't get to Shabbos ben hashmashos, ain't no erev. It's not an erev because came ben hashmashos, you didn't have an erev there. Mishech hashecha. However, if it transpired after what? After dark. If it transpired after dark, in that case, how is the erev? Why? Because it was there ben hashmashos. It was there when you needed it to be there. Im suffik. Now it's a suffik whether it was there ben hashmashos or not. Reb Meir, Reb Yehuda, Oimrim, harizeh chamor gomel. This is a camel donkey. We'll see what that means. Okay, we'll see. I'll explain when we get that. It's a camel donkey. You don't have to look at Pirish Achai to see. They show you a Pirish of a donkey and a camel. Okay. Now, Rav Yosef, Rav Shimon, Oimrim, Safik Erev Kasha. Safik, if the Erev was there, Ben Hashmashos is Kasha. Rav Yosef, Av Tulmis Hayed Mishum Chamishus Zakenim. Av Tulmis testified in the name of 5 Zakenim. Al Safik Erev Shekasha. So we pass in this way. If you're not sure that it was there, Ben Hashmashos Al Safik, you would be kind of shvisa. Says the Gemara. Niskalgol chutzat chum. When it rolled outside the chum, he said it's not a good erev. It's on Friday. It's not Ben Hashmashos yet. It rolled out. It's not a good erev. Amar Rava says Rava leishanu elishin niskalgol chutz la'arba amos. It rolled out outside 4 amas. Aval toich ama. If it's 2,000 amas plus, it's 2,003 amas, so 2,003.5 amas, or 2,003/4 amas, right? Then it would be good. Because the one he gets dalet amas. So when the Mishnah says this galgal, it means a little more than 4 to ensure that what it's outside your domain. Nafal gag. Now kasal kedaitoch the boy matzi shakale. Because the havamina is, guys, it fell on it. A rune fell on it. A bunch of stones fell on it. So the havamina is you could take your hands and remove the stones. Stones are muktzah. Muktzah is shvus. By now we're all experts that we hold like Rebbe that what? Bein hashmashos, shvus, we weren't geyser. So Fred the Gemara, why isn't it a good Erev? It must be the Mishnah is going according to who? The Rabbanon, who hold the shvus, would be, they were geyser. Says the Gemara, you're able to take it. Let's say our Mishnah is not like Rebbe. The Rebbe, Ha'amar kol davashu mishum shvus, like Gozul ben hashmashos. So over here, since it's muktzah, which is a shvus, and you're not able to take it, it must be the Rabbanon. And for the Gemara, feel tamer Rebbe, like tzricha, guys, this needs a jackhammer. The boy mara v'chatzina, you need shovels, you need mamish tools. That already is a din daraisa. The Raisa Rebbe's Maida that want that ben hashmashos, it's usher, and it's not a good erev. Now, you told me multiple cases, correct? Why do I need all these cases? Why do I need a case of galgal, a gal on top of it, burnt, truma? Why do I need to tell me? I basically got the gist of it. I got to have viable food, halachically edible food in a jurisdiction of 2,000 amas. Like, why tell me all these various cases? Says Gemara Tzricha. The Itan is galgal. If you're going to tell me the case where it rolled, Yishum de Lester Gabe, because it's not in his jurisdiction. It's outside. Afal nafal of gal, but where a gal of avonim fell on it, the isya gabe, it is in his jurisdiction. Eimel havi erev. I might think it is a good erev. V'itana nafal of gal, mishum de mechasa. I would say, you know why it's not good? Because it's covered up. Aval niskalgal zimin dasi sikum ma'isile. Now, if it's in the gal, you're not getting it. It's buried, right? R.I.P. Rest in peace, right? That is buried. You're not getting that. Or R.E.P., right? Rest in peace. You're not getting that. What happens if it's niskalgal outside 4 amas? Maybe the wind will come back and blow it back in. If a wind, in other words, by the gal, that's not possible, but it's certainly possible by when it rolled out. So maybe the wind will bring it back in. So Eimel have a eris tzricha to tell me not. Very geschmack. What about the other cases? What about if it burnt? What about tuma? Inisraf truma temeimas. Lomali tana nisraf amid beis. Why do you learn to nisraf? Lo diacha koicha de Rabbi Yosi, to tell me the koich of Rabbi Yosi, that even though it's not in the world now, says Rabbi Yosi, it's still an erev. Guys, you hear this? Listen to this. You put an erev there, you go away, you come back, you see a fire, and you see burnt. Says Rabbi Yosi, even though you don't know when the fire was, chazaka, it was there, ben hashmashos. Even though it's not there now. So therefore, you told me sreifa to tell me the chiddush of Rabbi Yosi, that it's good. Tana truma v'nimas l'diach koyach to Reb Meir. And you learn the case of truma that became tamei, that even though it's there, and even though there's a svara to say that ben hashmashos it was tahar, put it on the cheskes taira, nonetheless Reb Meir doesn't. Let's see Rashi on that last point. Second Rashi, last word on the top line. Even though the truma is there, and there is to say, let's keep it on its chazaka of Tyrus, right? They had a cheskes Tyrus. Guys, when he put it down there, it was tahar. So why don't we, Rameya, say, keep it on the status quo? Good, it's tamei now. But why don't I keep it on the cheskes Tyra? Nonetheless, we don't say chazaka l'kula. We say chazaka l'chumra. We don't say chazaka l'kula. Tomorrow is going to question that. Okay, so let's get this straight because we're going to have to focus on this. If you put an erev, you put truma, and it becomes tamei, and you're mesupik whether it became tamei, right? You're mesupik when it became tamei. Rameya nonetheless says that what? We will assume that it took place when? Before Shabbos, before Ben Hashmashos. That's it's suffix. Rameya says suffix, we're still going to assume. Why? Because when it comes to chazaka, Now you have a chazaka over here, guys. You had a cheskas tyra. When we left this, it was the chazaka of being tahar. Now you're telling me that just because it changed, and the suffix, we won't go after the chazaka. Throughout Shas, fellas, chazaka is a way to use to clarify a suffix. So what do I have over here? I have a suffix exactly when did it become tamei, before or after. Why don't we keep it on chazaka that by Ben Hashmashais it was tahar? Says Rameh, you don't, because you don't say chazaka lekula. With that in mind, let's continue. The Savra Rameh sveika lechumra. Does Rameh hold that what by suffix you go lechumra? But Tanan, the following. Mishnah Mikvois. Tamei, a person that's Tamei, sheyored litfol, and he went down to go to the mikvah, suffix tavel, suffix like tavel. Suffix, he was fully covered in the mikvah, suffix, he wasn't fully covered in the mikvah. But afilu tavel, and it's not a suffix that, he knows he was fully covered, but suffix tavel bar boim sa, suffix like tavel bar sa. You don't know if it was a kosher mikvah. V'chein, shnei mikvois, you have two mikvois, the achas yesh bo arboim sa, one of them has 40 sa, uba achas ein bo arboim sa, and the other one does not have arboim sa. V'tavel ba'achas mehem, and he goes in one of them. Ve'eni yadeh be'ezim em tavel, he doesn't know which one he went in. Nonetheless, sveikei tamei. Nonetheless, the suffix will be what? Will be tamei. When will be sveikei tamei? B'medam amurim, b'tumah chamura. If it was a tumah deraisa. If it was tumah deraisa, it became tamei. He touched an avatuma, he touched the sheretz, he touched the mace, whatever it is. That's a tumah chamura. But tumah kala, a tumah kala, again, midaraisa, man cannot contract tumah from a food. Midaraisa, man cannot contract tumah from a food. Only from an avatuma, not from a food. Only, no. Kigoin, sha'achal oiflin temeyin, v'shas amashkin temeyin, these are the Yudches halachas we had in the beginning of Masechta Shabbos. A person went ahead and he went in 3 shuvim, ma'im shuvim, oishenafla roishel rubai shloisha lugim, ma'im shuvim. They say the person's tamei because he wanted to be tahar. People stopped going to the mikvah and they use these means of being tahar. So they were going to the tamei on them as a way of keeping them away from doing it. The Yored Litfol, now he comes to go to the mikvah. And you have the same svekis. The Gemara goes through the same svekis. Suffix tavel, suffix like tavel. Afilu tavel, suffix tavel bar boim sa, suffix lo tavel bar sa. The chen shnei mikvois. V'achas yesh b'em boim sa, v'achas ein b'em boim sa. The tavel v'achas mehen. Any yadea b'ezim and tavel. Svekei tahar. Suffix is tahar. Now, stam mishnah is who, guys? Reb Meir. Stam mishnah is Reb Meir. So now, you see by the Rabbanan Dikadin, what's the halacha? Guys, by the Rabbanan, what's the halacha? You go lekula. We had, guys, look at me. We had two cases. We had a case where he said the suffix is l'chumra, tamei, and that was Reb Meir because it was Stam Mishnah. We have a second, an addendum to that Mishnah that says the suffix is tahar. What was the chilik? One was tumah chamura, one was tumah kala. Tumah chamura deraisa. Tumah kala is the rabbanon. What is erev tchumim? Erev tchumim is the rabbanon dekadin. So why does Reb Meir go lechumra by Eruvin and saying a suffix whether ben hashmashais, whether it was Torah or not, we say it was tamei. Yet when it comes to mikvah, which is also a derabanan dikadin, he says suffix you go lekula. It's a gevaldik kasha. Okay, so let's see. That's the kasha. Gevaldik kasha. Rabbi Yossi metamei. Rabbi Yossi says it's tamei. Question mark. And for the Gemara, Kesav Reb Meir, Yehuda Horowitz, Chumim Deraisa. Reb Meir holds what like his Rebbe. Who is his Rebbe? Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva says Chumim is Deraisa. Reb Meir, the Gemara in Yevamis tells us he was one of the 5 Talmidim that Rabbi Akiva found after he lost the 24,000 Talmidim. He lost them, he found them, and he said, this is what this is. So therefore it's Kishmak. It was the Rabbanan Dikadin, it would be Tahar. Suffix would be Tahar. Over here, by Tchumim, which is the Raisa, it's the same thing as a Tumah Chamura, which is the Raisa. And Rabbi said, you go to Chumra by a Tumah the Raisa. Same thing, same halacha. Question that halacha. V'savar Rabbi Tchumim the Raisa? How can you say Tchumim is the Raisa? Okay, now this is the See what we got here. This is very quickly, guys. We're going to go ahead and learn how to measure the tchum. Let's say you get to a crevice, right? Let's say you got to a crevice. What would you do? What would you do if you got to a crevice? You have one guy on the other side, underside. That's called bimavliya. You swallow it up. You don't go ahead and go, look, you can go down into it like this to measure, right? We don't do that. That's called havlah. That's one type of thing. That's called havlah. There's another one. There's another kula. Let me get to that in a second. This is called Mekadrin. When you're measuring a slope, you measure it like this. Guy goes over here, then he goes over here. You don't go ahead and go directly on here. You go over here. So what do you see? You see when it comes to Tchumim that he's Mekel. How could you hold that what? That Rabbi Meir holds. That Tchumim is the Raisa. When it comes to the measuring of Tchumim, he goes with Kula. These are two Kulas that the Gemara is going to discuss Be'ezrat Hashem in a few days. So if he's Tchumim, he shouldn't allow Havla'ah, and he shouldn't allow Mekadrin, like to go ahead and use that means of measuring. If he holds what, it's Deraisa. He shouldn't allow it. Fred the Gemara Kasha, you're telling me that Matarit's the steer and Rabbi Meir, that he holds, that by Deraisa, and Tchum is Deraisa, and therefore he's Machmir, as he is by Toma Chamura, but Tanana Mishnah later on. Imen Yochalav Lia Bezu, Omar Rabbi Destoy, Bayanai Mishnah Remea Shamati. If you can't do Havlah, what do? Shemekadrin Baharim. If you can't do Havlah, then you go ahead and do Mekadrin. Bisakadaita Tchum Deraisa, me Mekadrin. So you go ahead and use that type of heter of measurement. So Omar Rav Nachman, Omar Rabbi Avua, Ein Mekadrin, Loi Bari Miklat, Loi Be'egla Rufa. Now, Ori Miklat, within 2,000 amas to the city you get there, you're safe. That's a din deraisa. Egla Rufa, we measure which city is closest to the corpse to decide which one brings Egla Rufa. These are both the raisa. However, a Mekadrin, when it comes to measuring, you don't use the device of Mekadrin, Shel Torah, because they are Shel Torah. So we've proven that from Ori Miklat and Egla Rufa, that Mekadrin is unacceptable. Mekadrin is the Rabbanan way of measuring. So how could Reb Meir allow the Rabbanan measuring by Tchumim if he holds the Raisa? And for the Gemara like Kasha, Hadidei Hadarabbe, he holds us the Raisa. He holds us the Raisa. And that's the teretz to Astira. What's the teretz? The reason why he's machmir by Suffolk, whether it was there Minish Mashas or now, because Tchumim is the Raisa. I have law Mekadrin. That he said in the name of his Rebbe, right? Dekanami Diktani, Bizu Omar of the Stoi Bar Yanai Mishum Reb Meir, Shamati Shemekajim Barim, Shmamina, we have a Raya. Shmamina, that is a good Raya. So we have a teretz to the Stira. He tells by Suffolk that it is what it is the Raisa. Okay, I have a few minutes. I thought there's a game-changing Avudarham in the spirit of Rosh Hashanah. We have a few minutes. Let me post it and go through it with you a little bit. 6 minutes. I found it to be a game changer. I found it to be a major.
Where is it in the Avudarham?
If you have a gross sitter, it's right. It's in the Psicha. If you have a gross sitter.
Yeah.
Huh? I think you should listen to this. It's Kishmai. Huh? You know what? Yeah. Bam. Oh, no. I lost every. I don't know what happened over here. Steve, how do I get back to the main screen? I just got Chaim Klagsman here.
You don't see share your screen or on top right, gallery view?
No, I don't see anything.
Could be worse. You can see Tom.
I see you. I see Benji.
Yeah, but I have to be able to get. I have to be able to get you guys on the screen.
Hit your escape key when all else fails.
Okay, I think maybe no.
See speaker view on top, gallery view, exit full screen, any of that?
Should we sign out and sign back in together, everybody?
No. I don't know what's going on. I just get a bunch of different like little people.
You're trying to share your screen.
I know. It doesn't say anything over here. It just says little people.
Hold the button down. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
You hold the button down. There you go. Okay. It's good. Yeah, it's not a big one, but it does the trick.
I think I might rewire this to put a switch on it.
Okay.
Look at it. They do work.
Okay, ready to go.
I don't know how to get this thing up there.
Dana, was that you singing
That's
before?
Dr. Ben's family. I don't think we really need anything else, right?
I can get rid of Dr. Ben's family. That I can do, but I can't get on there. Why? I'm just getting like little people. I'm just. Oh gosh, I don't know. I can't even hear you.
If you hit escape, it doesn't.
Nothing. I hit escape. Nothing happens. I just see you and
Hit your share screen. See what happens.
I don't have a share screen. That's a problem. I have nothing.
Move your mouse all the way to the top. Does something drop down?
Nothing. Okay, we have to wait till tomorrow. I'm sorry.
Wait. You want to post it? Oh, you can't.
I just know. I don't know what I did here.
Rabbi, where would I find the Avudarham? I can't find my gross sitter.
In the gross sitter. I found it in the gross sitter. Okay, 1 second. I think I'm in business. I'm in business, but I think I lost the thing. No.
It didn't
we
come
got
up.
a
We're
black-
back to you.
Yeah, black screens sharing. Black screens matter.
Dr. Ben, maybe you should log off. That would help.
Okay, guys, we're going to be in business in a second.
I think it's Edmonton's fault.
There you go. You can see this?
Yeah, we got it.
You got it? Okay.
Good.
Let's get it larger. Let's pull it up. Okay, a little larger. A little smaller. Okay, look at the word vabita. You see it? How they went ahead and they were mataking tefillas Rosh Hashanah. Sheniskana rak al bikshe al bakoshes kavod hashchina. All we care about is kavod HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Sheyiskala kvodo v'tireh malchuso. That his kavod should be revealed and his malchus seen. Ki alolonu lahakel b'lamoid al shenu b'yam adin hagadol b'anoy razeh. It would make sense for us to gather together, stand, and on this awesome day of Din, to mvakesh slicha mechila v'chaim u'mazoin u'bonim. Kimili nifka kayam hazeh. Umasham uzal shaloi lahaske shum chet v'ovim Rosh Hashanah. Chazal tell us we're not allowed to mention any chet on Rosh Hashanah. Shaloi la'oires adin, that there should be a din against us. It's the opposite. Of course we should mention it. Shari Amru Moida Biknas Pater. If you did something wrong in your Moida, you Pater. So it makes sense that we did something wrong, we should mention it and Pater ourselves. For Oimar, in addition, it says, Moda V'ozev Yerucham. Someone who admits what he did wrong and he leaves it, he'll be what? Be merciful upon. V'od. V'chim loy nasker anachnu. If we don't say it, who's going to say it for us? Adarabba. All the averis we do, we have malachim that are being mekatreg, they're being prosecuting us and saying kineged us. So says the Avudarham, what's the reason that on Rosh Hashanah we only care about HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not about us? Acha inyan. The Indian is like it says in the Zayah. Vayihi yoim da, yoim medina yuma de Rosh Hashanah. V'yavo b'nei Elokim lisyatzev el Hashem. Uvadai lemitva el boinoi. They all come to go ahead and be toiveya Hashem's busha and embarrassment. The kuloit savchu, everyone screaming, Havli chaya, give me life. Havli mizayna, give me food. Havli slicha v'kapara. Hav, give me. Ve'ein ish som alev levakash el boina de ma'ara. No one thinks about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ushmoy ha-mechol b'goyim. And his name that is mechol among the goyim. If you think about it, it's Olay Aleinu. You go up onto Harabat Zaysim and you look down on the Harabayis, Mamish Makam Migdash, you see the Mosque of Omar. You look at the world, you look at the United States, you look at no one cares about God. As the farther to get away from God, you have Black Lives Matter, you have gay parades, you have the streets full of violence, getting away more and more from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, more than the image of what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted. Kama da'at Omar, ki yodal kes ka, like it says in the end of B'Shalach, ki yodal kes ka, she'ein Hashem, the name ka is not filled, the name kisei, case is not complete, sholem, v'hakol ba'avonenu, it's all because of our averos. V'eifa yoyes ha'odam ponav l'vakesh al nafshoy, how can you go ahead and have the chutzpah to go ahead and be mvakesh for yourself, v'yisratzel l'nafshoy, mituvas olam hazeh, ki chen yislay lanu b'kinus al nafshi, eich yerav l'nafshi ochel, eich mi'od hayoyim yimusak l'enei, eich es chave es achayim, in behechel malkenu yisbarach shama b'shes. HaKadosh Baruch was in the state. The kadrusa ishtakach b'kuloi rakia v'chein al sheva basami. I'm just going quickly through these words. V'lechein asu lanu chazal lahaskes shum chet v'avin. Therefore, we can't speak about ourselves at all to mention any chet or any avera. Kidei shlei nifne ish achrei shrius liboy levakesh lenafshay slich v'kapara. You'll get carried away. If once you get to yourself, you get carried away. Al shesor mimeru derech, because you lose your way. V'chein lo nifne ish acher nigei levavei levakesh b'nei chayo mezoyna liyos chetzvim kikalbe should be mechutzafim like dogs. Mizen is oris adin. This is oris. That'll go ahead and be oris adin against us, telling us, look, they only care about themselves. They don't care about you. Nashach is called advarim hanageyim lanu. We throw away everything that's nageya us. Achrei goy v'yavor aleinu ma'yiyah mashiyah. Whatever's going to be is going to be. Whatever's going to be. It's the Yom Adin. Really, I should be asking and begging. But Rabbeinu Shalom, I only care about you. I'm not going to mention myself at all. Rak this marmar kulano b'marias liboy, to go ahead and be bitter. V'einenu teirei dima, and cry. V'afapenu yizlei moyim, gush tears. Al hadar kavod alakenu asher gila, the kavod of Hashem that's in Golus. Asher noitel kavod mi beis chayenu v'tiferes roit malkenu. U'lachein lo tiknu lanu chazal loimer b'tfilas Rosh Hashanah shum bakosha al slicha v'kapara u'mizoyni rak tfilas kitzara al bakosha sachayim. All we say is Zachreinu l'chayim. And listen to this, guys. V'gam zeh lefi shevet soynai b'kach. And the only reason we mention this, Hashem, is because it's your ratzin. V'zel ma shekosav melech chafetz b'chayim. Dim loikein lo yinum izim es ponein levakish mimcha gamal chayim rak shechafatz the b'chayim. Why do we guys? We have no bakashis. How can we say Zachrein l'chayim? Remember us for life. You're not supposed to ask for anything. The whole reason we ask is why Zachrein l'chayim melech chafetz b'chayim. Since you're the melech who's chafetz b'chayim, you want us to live. That's the only reason I'm asking, because you want me to ask. I'm not asking for myself. I'm only asking because you want me to ask, and that's the only thing we ask for. Rakulim yisodas al derech kavod al elkeinu. The whole lashon of tefillah is derech kavod for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'zel ma shekasav v'chein tein pachtecha. Place your fear v'yerucha v'yishtachvu v'chein tein kavod li'amecha simcha li'artzecha. Everything's about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'sasin li'irecha v'simlech ata Hashem levadecha. V'ka'odem ha'omer Rebbeinu Shalom. We have so much to ask for ourselves. There's so many needs we have. When we think about what? Our own needs, and we think about your name that is being mechulel b'goyim, we put away all our own bakashas, everything we should ask for, and we only care about Rebbeinu Shalom. And the glory of your greatness that has been diminished. The shame tifatachu marecha ki. I can't see that.
It was lowered.
V'zeh ika b'kashasenu v'yeda kol pa'ul ki ato pe'alto v'yavin kol yitzur ki ato yitzato u'malchusay b'chol mashallah u'v'zeh yiftach kolish v'ish asher yifchad, you'll cry. V'yismarmer, and you'll be embittered. V'yom adin hagadol v'noira hazeh ala kavana asher amarnu v'yashlich be'esazoyses nafshoy mineged. We throw away ourselves. V'yavro lov masha yavro, whatever's going to be is going to be. Shevadei chatov lo yiskar oid. Your averos will not be mentioned. Lo yalu alev lo olam. V'yisakru piyam hamastinim hamakachugim. Allah, you'll shut up all the mouth of the persecutors. L'ra'ah. They're going to say, look, here they are. They should be mevakesh themselves and everything. And what are they doing? They only care about you, Rebbeinu Shalom. They only care about your malchus, Rebbeinu Shalom. They don't care about anything else. Right. Guys, listen to this. Ani l'doidi v'doidi li, pirish. When my bakashas are, kol migmasei rak l'doidi, all my emotion only about Ashbidoidi, Kamoch Shamanu, as Doidi Li, then my Doidi will be for me. If I'm the Doidi, if I take away my own Ratzin, and I only keep about Doidi, then Doidi Li. V'hu kisham chazal, hamispala chaver, Gemara and Baba Kama, guys. Someone who davens for his friend, who tzarech leisei dava, who nenat chila. Guys, we daven to Rebbeinu Shalom. But really, and we're going to be answered first. Why? Because we have the same needs, what we're davening for. So we have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful way of looking at I think, a wonderful, just fascinating, beautiful idea of when we say that we make Hashem the Melech. What are we saying? We're saying, Hashem, all I care about is you. All I care about is how you're being treated. I don't care about myself. Really, I should be about myself. Now it answers, guys. Why don't you say al chait? No al chait, no vidu, no nothing. So I always had a problem. What was my kivun on Rosh Hashanah? With this Avudarham that I found, my son Simcha showed it to me in the beginning of the Gros Siddha. It gives you a whole different mahalech. It's a theme throughout the whole tefillah. The same thing, pachtecha, yeda kol pul ki atabi ato. Everything is about you, Hashem. And you constantly think, Rebbeinu Shalom, look at your world and look what you have to go through and everything. And you're guaranteed when it comes to the Yom Adin on Yom Kippur, right? And you're going to have to go ahead and clock this, that, and this, the next thing. By that time, it'll all be taken care of. You'll be answered first. How geschmack is that, huh?
Beautiful, yes, right.
Unbelievable.
It's a game changer, no?
Beautiful.
It's a game changer. It's a whole game changer.
Yeah.
Kedai to be here, huh?
Oh yeah.
Joe Greenwald.
Rabbi, that's why by certain people, by Avinu Malkeinu during a Seres Tshuva, they don't say the first one and the last three before Shlach Chachzerenu B'Shuva because it mentions Chet. They don't say Chaton Lefanecha and all those three that mention Chet because of that reason.
Very nice. Okay, wish everyone a good evening. Thanks for coming.
Rabbi, how do I get on the DAF chat?
Benji put you on already.
Are you on WhatsApp? Do you have a WhatsApp?
I just got today WhatsApp.
Okay.
Benji put you on. I saw. Benji put you on. He added you. You're in. You're in.
There's two chats. Steve, put them on both.
I'm only on.
You're only on one.
Yeah.
You're not on the original. I hate to tell you that, Steve.
But Yehuda is. Yehuda's on the original. Benji added him today.
Okay, fine.
Right, so I want to get on Steve's.
Steve, put him on yours too.
Nah, you're good. You're an original.
Send him your thing. Okay, have a great night, guys.
Send your phone number. All right. Good night.
Okay.